I mean, it sounds interesting.
Two things.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could sign this since you wrote something
sure.
in it. That'd be awesome. A little autograph. One of the essays in it. Actually, the essay is over what he talked on. Joseph.
That's easy.
And then I was wondering if I could get a video of you just answering a quick question.
Sure.
Something a lot of us are a little curious about.
I'm recording, but you just have to edit it out.
What's the date today?
It's the 17th.
Yes. Yes.
Illegible, but there you go.
All right. So I'm a media guy for Texas State Young Americans for Liberty. I believe it's media director, liaison. I'm not sure the exact, anyway, yeah. So my question was, with, typically, you identify a problem, then you try to present a solution. What would be the modern day solution to the issues now that are presented with the fall of the fraternal society?
Your opinion.
Well, you got a massive welfare state, massive regulatory state, and get rid of that. But that's easier said than done. One possible thing that people have talked about is you got the tremendous tax benefit to providing insurance through employers. If you could somehow get rid of that or extend that exemption to providing insurance through voluntary organizations. Of course, with Obamacare, that becomes much more difficult now. Eliminating some of these certification and licensing laws. But it's very difficult. Imagine a sort of transition other than a kind of cold turkey thing.
Do you have any local solutions for
this problem? Well, there is some interesting stuff. That I tried to talk up. In Tuscaloosa, we had a big tornado, and one of the things that happened after that, for tremendously destructive, is we had the local talk radio station network that just decided at a certain point, hey, we're going to give ourselves over to coordinating tornado relief. And a lot of people, lost power and everything, but they could still have battery radios or car radios so they could listen to it. And they were doing stuff. I was getting into the act. They were saying, well, we need more diapers down at this center here. They've got too many bottles of water. They need diapers, or they need bug spray for the workers.
And people
I would drive around and buy the stuff and drive around, and they were coordinating it through a very decentralized method. And they would have people call in from certain neighborhoods. Hey, there's trees, on electric wire. We need somebody to come. People would go, and it was very inspiring. And I did do a piece about this. So I guess pointing out things like that is useful.
The discussion.
Yeah, I did a piece. What was Wall Street Journal? What did we call it? I think I was originally going to call it Hayek comes to Tuscaloosa or something. I forget what I was going to call it, and they changed it to something else.
And one last question.
But that was an example that shows that this ethic is still there. And you do see it during some natural disasters.
Private relief is really prevalent in disaster times, and it's really obvious during that time.
It really is.
There's the article where private relief was feeding the FEMA workers.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Tuscaloosa has been bad since then, because we have Tuscaloosa Forward, where they're trying to do central planning and really wiping out a lot of the existing businesses, because they're saying, we're going to rebuild Tuscaloosa. So a lot of these guys are just screwed over.
Instead of letting the market rebuild it?
No. Some places are. Joplin, that's a good example. There's some interesting work comparing Joplin to Tuscaloosa, hit by tornadoes, Joplin even worse. And they basically said, we're going to lift all the existing regulations, or many of them. We want you to rebuild. We'll get out of the way. Tuscaloosa was the complete opposite. Joplin rebuilding rapidly, Tuscaloosa not. Still hasn't been built.
Successfully building.
Yeah, very successful, very rapidly. And that is a good case study to point to.
How are the current and last question? How are the current fraternal orders still faring with providing mutual aid? I know like the Shriners hospitals are still kind of kicking. Like my uncle Ricky had when he was a child, he had knee operations that they took care of, and that was pretty cool that they still do that.
Yeah, the burn hospitals, but even there, really they have big endowments, right? But my sense is that they're not getting young members. And you ultimately need to do that.
Would you recommend
so I think that, would I recommend it? I don't know. I mean, I think potentially these groups, I mean, they do a lot of good. Would I recommend you join that particular kind of? I think mutual aid. I think experiments in mutual aid. I think are worth encouraging. And but would it necessarily be an old-fashioned fraternal society? I think a lot of these groups are still doing a lot of good, but they're in trouble.
So basically,
they're not getting young blood, very elderly people. I mean, that isn't always true, but I think that's an issue for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, a really good solution at this point, the only ones would be just learning about it and trying to educate other people. That's about the most that you can do about it.
I think you can do a lot in your community. I think a lot of the immigrant are worth studying, and I don't know. See, I've sort of moved away from this topic, but I think you've got a lot of these mutual aid arrangements still there under the radar, and they're worth looking into. And there are a lot of regulations and so forth that are preventing this kind of thing, and I think those are worth looking at as well.
Okay.
But the Joplin Tuscaloosa thing, that's not really mutual aid so much, but it's an example of kind of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, we don't want to take your time.
No,
everyone.
it's fine. Thank you. Oh, okay.
And boom.